Hello, my name is Russ Timpson. I'm the founder of the Tall Building Fire Safety Network. What you're about to see is a video from our 2025 Tall Building Fire Safety Conference. You can find more other great videos on tall building fire safety on our YouTube channel, and there are many more presentations on our website, www.tallbuildingfiresafety. If you find our videos and presentations useful, please like and subscribe us on our YouTube channel. Halfway through the video, you're going to see details of our 2026 conference, which will take place in May in London. We have a fantastic program, and we also have a separate high-rise firefighting masterclass with Brent Brooks and special guests from around the world. There are also details of our 5-day intensive tall building fire safety management course, which will be running in London throughout 2026, but also in the Mediterranean, in Cyprus and in Malta. This is an ideal course for anybody who's dealing with fire safety matters in tall and complex buildings. So I hope you find these videos useful. And as we say in the Tall Building Fire Safety Network, go high and go well. Thanks.
I'm following those two very digital presentations. This is very analog.
Well, I mean, you've mentioned the golden thread, but I think just
Building safety manager at Wolverhampton Homes. Stood there with my team. We've got 3 fire safety officers who, along with myself, as Russ said, are former enforcing officers. And then when us old gits go, we've got 4 apprentices coming through doing the level 4 diploma. So we're an arm's length management organisation. We look after the vast majority of the property for the City of Wolverhampton Council, which is around 22,000 homes, which includes 44 high-rise blocks and getting on for 850 low and medium-rise blocks. Our principal duty is to undertake the fire risk assessments for those buildings. The bonus of being able to do that in-house is that we can also do person-centred fire risk assessments. And then my other duty, the team support me in providing the building safety cases. We've got 3 underway at the moment, and making sure that we're compliant with the ever-increasing raft of legislation. Chris.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Chris Tabor. I'm the Creative Director at Pedestal Television. We're based in South Wales. I've been a specialist camera operator and director of photography for over 35 years. I do have, admittedly, a very geeky interest in very niche camera equipment, but it's enabled me to work on a wide range of projects over the years, from ice climbing in Switzerland to filming the Cranberry Harvest in Massachusetts in 3D. Remember that? Part of that was me. I've worked on several Olympic Games, more football and rugby than I can shake a stick at, music, drama, and that picture in the middle there is just before some brain surgery. So this rather eclectic mix has given me a pretty fundamental knowledge of how images work together to entertain, educate, and inform. So about 10 or 11 years ago, I started creating virtual tours, and digital twins, as we're supposed to call them. The technology involved in this evolved really quickly and continues to do so. There's always new things to do. So we're able to create immersive 360-degree experiences packed full of additional information, whether that's video, audio, or text. We've created hundreds of tours, from canal boats to cathedrals, from 2-bed end-of-terraced houses going to auction to multi-million-pound ski chalets in the French Alps. It was a particularly tough gig, but no one seems to believe me. But what it's also done is it's allowed us to work on educational, accessibility, and safety projects that help ordinary people, and these are the ones that we enjoy doing the most. So we've helped small businesses connect and inform their customers more efficiently by creating interactive FAQs and Q&A platforms. We've created virtual tours for care homes that allow future residents and their families, even if they're geographically spread, to pre-visit a care home, but more importantly, revisit a care home ensuring familiarity with surroundings and the staff that work there. This was particularly important for care homes that dealt with dementia care. And we've created virtual tours with the National Trust, specifically for visitors with limited mobility. There are just some places in some of their properties that if you're a wheelchair user, you're just not going to get to. It's nobody's fault. That's actually strictly true. Most of the time it's the Georgians' fault. But so, what has this got to do with you guys? I believe that there is a room and a benefit for this kind of tech, these kind of platforms in every sector. But obviously I don't work in every sector. So part of the challenge for producers like myself is to place the content in front of people like you and just ask the question, can we adapt this to solve a problem or streamline a solution for you? And I think it was a cathedral, wasn't it? I first showed you.
It was indeed, Chris. Yeah, Chris showed me a cathedral on his tour and said, do you think this would have any use for health and safety? And I said, well, I don't know about health and safety. I said, but it would be really good with fire safety. And just to say that the sloth doesn't represent me or Chris, that's the speed of innovation in the local authorities. Because when he first started, I was at Samwell, and there was some interest. So we were able to do some filming and feasibility of what we could do, and it sort of dwindled out. But then I moved on to Wolverhampton Homes, where I was given the budget to be able to produce a proper proof of concept, where we could play with what we could develop, say, well, can we do this? Can you do that? The kind of question that Chris has just asked of you all. And I said, well, I want to be able to walk around. Can you put things on the wall? Can we put video clips and all that kind of thing? And this is where we got to.
So big, long conversations backwards and forwards, and this is pretty much what we came up with. So this is an interactive fire safety virtual tour for your residents. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to introduce you to Ellen, who's one of the presenters we use on a regular basis. She is human. I mentioned that. I'll clarify why I mentioned that in a short while. We don't use AI humans. But it's a short video of 90 seconds or so to explain everything we've done, and then afterwards we'll recap on a few of the highlights.
The essential fire safety information that you are required to provide for your residents can now be available on an engaging and accessible platform 24 hours a day. Our fire safety virtual tours provide your residents with an engaging and interactive experience, allowing them to explore and familiarise themselves with fire safety measures completely bespoke to their building. The tours are simple to use and can be accessed from anywhere at any time and on any device, allowing residents to learn about fire safety at their own pace. The embedded information, whether video, audio or text, is available multilingually and subtitled for the hard of hearing. At the end of the tour, residents are encouraged to take a quiz, and their results are emailed to you as confirmation of their participation. The tour can also be available completely offline, so your fire safety team can work with those residents without internet access or digital literacy in a group environment. The virtual tours offer an innovative and effective approach to educate and prepare residents for potential emergencies, ultimately improving their safety and the well-being of the community.
So that was it, and I was really pleased, as were a lot of other people, with what we were able to produce as a proof of concept. There are some other bits and pieces that we want to add to that. But it wasn't until I completed this piece of work with Chris that I came to understand why it is so successful. I was lucky enough to, along with some other housing providers, support TPAS in building their building safety engagement programme. And one of the key takeaways from that was around a little bit of psychology around groupthink and how to make that work and how to make sure your communications were working. And this little toolkit called Mindspace, and I'll just pick out a couple. The more of these things you had within your communication, then the chances are the more likely that would be to be successful. So the first one then is Messenger, and easily, and it depends. Sorry, just to explain that first. You're heavily influenced by who communicates that message. So anything to do with fire safety, it's got to be the fire service. I've learned that. They're independent, they've got an excellent brand, and they're well trusted with the public. Incentives. Our responses to incentives are shaped by predictable mental shortcuts. There's no greater incentive than preserving your own life, knowing what to do in the event of a fire. We've got salience. Our attention is drawn to what is novel and seems relevant to us. Well, the relevancy there, it is bespoke to their building. They are walking around their home, their building. And then moving on to priming. Our acts are often influenced by subconscious cues. So again, it's that self-preservation thing. People want to know. And then finally, ego. We act in ways that make us feel better. Well, if you've got a family and what have you to look after, then you're going to want to know that you'll be able to protect them.
So let's have just a quick recap of some of the major benefits to you and your residents. The major USP with this entire project, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's completely bespoke to the building within which it's being viewed. It's their home. So this is relevant. Immediately, it's relevant. Immediately, there's a connection, and that helps to maintain interest. It establishes familiarity, helping people know exactly where they've got to go and where what to do in emergency. There are going to be some people in a high building that may have never even seen the stairs, let alone used them. So the fact that it's their building, they will know if there is an emergency, stress levels are up. If this was a generic building, they're none the wiser. It was vitally important that this was completely bespoke.
I mean, you can see there that little estate in Wolverhampton, the layout and the complexity of those buildings is fairly simple, predominantly single escape staircases, where up and down the country, you can have some very complex buildings, numerous escape stairs, different occupiers, offices, shops, and therefore different layouts that people would need to be familiar with. And as Chris said, a lot of residents are only familiar with the ground floor lobby and wherever that lift gets out for their flat. And then finally, it's a consistent message. We're fortunate in Wolverhampton Homes that we have got an in-house team to be able to support our customer-facing officers with that. But the technical aspects, the fire expertise is within the tour. So you don't necessarily need to have that expertise because your own staff can go out and deliver that.
Right, here's a fun human question. What's the first thing you want to do when you see this? You want to press the big red button. Everybody wants to press the big red button. So within the tour, we have lots and lots and lots of big red buttons in the form of interactive hotspots. And when they're clicked, up will pop the information that we want to give to your residents, whether that's video, audio, or text.
And it's key to maintain that engagement, as it says on there. If you've approaching the age that me and Chris, when through the training that you've had at work, it probably would have started off as death by OHP, and then it was death by video, and then death by PowerPoint, and now we seem to have death by these little cutesy animations that are going around. With this, going back to what was said in the TPAS thing, the Mindspace things, it is relevant to them. It is their block. And if they get bored with something on that, they can turn and they can go somewhere else and they can click somewhere else. It keeps people entrained in what they're looking at.
The first rule of virtual tours is to never let the viewer leave until they've booked something or bought something, or in this case, until they've ingested all the information that we want to give them. There is an element of gamification. Now, I don't know if that's a word. I may have just made it up. If it's not a word, I stake my claim. But hotspots keep people interested. It's their block. They're going to be interested. They see an arrow on the floor pointing around a corner. They're going to press it. We all do. So the idea of it is you keep them playing the game. It's available 24 hours a day and it works on all devices. We all know how mobile phones seem to be surgically attached to our hands these days. It was vital that the whole thing worked as well on desktop as it does on devices, on mobile. So this is specifically optimized for mobile phones. This one's really important. The tech's cool and looks great and all that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, you still have to have a human presence. And I know this was really important for Nick and his team because they're all customer facing. Is it 3 teams you've got across the town?
Yeah, the city's divided up into 3 teams, and depending on which block it is, and once we've got all the estates done, then those local teams will be on the wall, as you saw earlier on the picture, so that the people in their block, because at the end of the day, the key to engagement, the thing we're looking to achieve, is trust with that resident, and the best way of building trust is that consistency of having the same person. They know who their point of contact is. We've got red high-vis jackets that we wear different to the rest of the staff, so that we can be easily identified on site.
If you don't have a customer-facing team, then we always recommend you can use a professional presenter. There's Ellen again, who was in the video. Again, it maintains a human presence, and people buy in to people. The information, I mentioned earlier that she's not AI. We don't use AI because, although it looks good visually, AI cannot yet capture the subtleties and the nuances of speech. And I think when it comes to information, and let's be honest, this stuff's important information, if there's any reason you give the general public to not believe it, they'll switch off. You'll lose them. So maintaining a human presence throughout the whole thing is absolutely vital. It's available offline. If you have residents who don't have internet or have low levels of technical literacy, the whole tour can be loaded onto a laptop or an iPad, and either your fire safety team or residents team can work with those people in smaller groups and go through the tour together. So it keeps it as accessible as possible. Multilingual. This was a bit of a interesting one. I know this was really important for you at Wolverhampton.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of other places now, there's over 100 languages just in the city of Wolverhampton alone. And what we found in our conversations around residents when we were doing this is that some of those aren't even written. There's different dialects and what have you that people speak that aren't written. So that was important. And then there's different demographics as well, where education isn't available to everybody.
One of the bits of feedback when we were building the multilingual side of it is obviously the graphics running outside changed to the relevant language, but we left the videos English and then subtitled them. And one of the really fantastic pieces of feedback we had from residents groups was that there were lower levels of literacy in certain communities. So they asked if the videos could be dubbed as well. So there are various levels to the multilingual journey, but that was quite an interesting one to do. Residents are encouraged to take a quiz. More gaming, more buttons to press. We just came up with 6 questions. The answers obviously are all within the tour. I think on this one, if you get score less than 3 out of 6, you're politely asked to go back and have another look around. At the end, they get given a score, and then they submit the score, and that is emailed to you as the business owner as proof that someone in that flat has looked at the tour. This was my favourite bit. We had the West Midlands Fire Service involved, and they were very keen to do so. They were fantastic. Obviously, from a public perception, the fire service is hugely well respected, and from a tourist point of view, it adds massive gravitas to the tour.
Yeah, I mean, obviously as a former firefighter, I knew what advantage we would get with that from the years of the safe and well visits that I've undertaken. And even though now that I've got more qualifications than the water squirters in fire safety and what have you, but now I'm just the landlord, so that they don't take any notice of me.
And at the end of that shoot day, they let me sit in a fire engine, so that was really cool. Although they could tell me off for not calling it an appliance. As an add-on to extend the tour itself of the building, we had a little play and we included one of the flats. Again, it's one of the flats in the building, so it's relative to the tenant. So we've got more generic information in the kitchen. We've got kitchen fire information. We've got nighttime routine, that kind of thing. But what was really interesting when we were researching this was an extraordinary lack of modern, up-to-date fire safety video assets available online, or certainly enough that didn't look like they were shot on VHS in the 1980s.
Yeah, because although the wallpaper might be coming back into trend, a lot of the risks aren't the same. In 23 to 24 in Wolverhampton, we had 2 living room fires in our high-rise stock, yet we had 5 bedroom fires. we're aware now, and that reflected it nationally, we're aware of risks like kids charging mobile phones under pillows. You've got adults leaving laptops on top of quilts which sink in and then don't ventilate properly. And then you've got the e-scooters, mobility scooters, and e-bikes and what have you as well. All these new risks. So if there's anybody out there that wants to collaborate and update the fire safety information videos, then that would be, please get in touch with us. We'd be well received.
Yeah, our little vision for that was, as a little side project, was just to create effectively a national database of up-to-date modern fire safety videos that would be licensed to any organisation free of charge, and you can use them for whatever you want.
They could call it a government information film, couldn't they?
Hello. Thank you, Charlie. And lastly, we've created all these video assets that sit within the tour. As a way of making them even more accessible, we thought we could create physical QR codes that sit effectively at the point of sale. So by the lift, there's a QR code, you scan that, and up on your phone pops up the relevant video for the lifts. And obviously these would be dotted around the building. It just makes, it seemed a fairly obvious thing to do, to just make all that information as accessible as possible.
Because I then said, oh, does that mean I could take the bits and pieces, put them on the website, use it on social media? We had an instance where the emergency spaces was being parked on by residents and the fire service couldn't get into a bin fire one night. So as well as the letters that were dropped, that 1 minute video that the fire service did, we circulated that on Facebook, TikTok and the like to help educate people as to why we don't want them to park there.